the storyline that I actually found genuinely compelling was the way that Jenn's divorce and money spending was such a trigger specifically for Emily, also for Gina, but in some way for all of, like, I think that gets to the core of what's great about that show is the way that these women are such like consumerist, capitalist shills, that they've bought into this idea of being a trophy wife. And a lot of this show is about the fallout of thinking that you can win the trophy wife game. And I think what's so troubling about Jenn is it seems like she is not like incurring the consequences that the rest of them had to deal with. And you can see the way that they're so angry that she does not seem to have to like live by the same rules that they live. They are so sad they couldn't be housewives. Like they haven't ever really grown out of that dream that one day a man will just like pay for them to live like Bronwyn.
All of the women on the cast are like bosses, or like at least fake bosses, and they have their careers and they went through messy divorces and all of that. But Jenn is just there, never had a credit card to her name, and she's just crazy. Letting men take care of her. You know, she, you know, doesn't get child support from her ex, but Ryan is just there to literally just move her into his house and everything's fine. Like there are no consequences for Jenn, and I could write Emily really resents that. Heather is checking price tags. Gina is like, my career's on the line. You know, all these women who have been scorned, and Jenn hasn't had to deal with the consequences.
I can understand why the women were triggered, but it was honestly like so mean at times. It's like, if Jenn wants to make these mistakes, let her make these mistakes.
Well, what's interesting is like when there's something that they just can't say, when they're saying like, well, how do you afford this? How do you afford this? Obviously, her new boyfriend's paying for it. And I never understood why that couldn't be acknowledged. But even so, I understand why they'd be like, how are you getting out of this relationship where you were completely dependent on a man and so eager to get into that identical, like, why haven't you learned? We always say in memoirs, we always say certain women have never learns disease, where you're like, how could you make the same mistake 6 times in a row? It's weird that they like never just acknowledge what she's done is find another rich husband. But of course, this one's not married to her. And of course, this one's like going to jail soon.
A little different.